So, measurement, okay? The comparison of the unknown quantities with the known fixed quantity. What is this? What are you doing? The measurement is the comparison of an unknown quantity with a fixed known quantity. Okay, when you measure something unknown with something fixed. Okay, I'll show you. Suppose this amount of rice is not known to you, but you know that this butter is 1 kg. Not butter, it's butter. Okay, how can I tell you? Both sound the same. BARTER, butter. Okay, it's not BUTTER, it's BARTER. Okay, butter. But you know that this butter weighs 1 kg. Okay, and you don't know the amount of rice over here. You compare them on a beam balance, you'll get it. Okay, if the rice is also 1 kg, then these two will equalize. Okay, like that only. Okay, a quantity that can be measured is known as a physical quantity. Now, what are the fundamental quantities? Quantities that are unique and do not depend on any other quantity. And what are derived? That means they are the quantity which are not derived from any kind of formula. Okay, they're just there, some basic quantities. Okay, and what are derived quantities? The quantities that are derived from fundamental quantities. So the quantities which are derived means they are either multiplied or divided. Okay, and then they are derived. Okay, kg is a fundamental quantity, and sorry. Meter into meter gives meter square, derived quantity. What is a unit? A unit is a standard used for measuring physical quantities. Okay, if you measure, unit is a fixed quantity as a standard used for measuring physical quantities. That just now I told you. Now, what is a physical quantity? It's a numerical value into a unit is a physical quantity. Now, multiples of units, the factors used to create larger forms of unit, is known as multiples of units. Okay. Some multiples factor that helps in getting smaller forms of unit are known as some multiples. When you are increasing, then they are known as multiples, and if you are decreasing it, then they are known as some multiples. Now, what is length? The distance between the two extreme ends of an object is known as length. Okay, suppose from point A to point B, this path is the length. Parallax error, an error of measurement that arises due to wrong positioning of eyes. So when you position your eyes wrong, you get a parallax error. This I can show you only with the help of pictures. Area, the space occupied by two-dimensional figure on a plane space. Mass, the amount of matter contained in an object. You all know that. Time, the interval between two events. Temperature, the measure of degree of hotness or coldness. Thermometer, device to measure temperature. I do not have to explain anything. Measurement, it is defined as the comparison of an unknown quantity with a known fixed quantity. Okay, fundamental quantities are of two types. Fundamental physical quantities are two types. Fundamental quantities and the derived quantities. Unit is a fixed quantity used for measuring physical quantities. To deal with different magnitudes of physical quantity, we express it in multiples and submultiples. Length is the distance between two extreme ends of an object. The unit of length is meter. Measurement of length can be made by using the various measuring tools such as ruler, meter rod, meter tape, vernier caliper, and screw gauge. These two objects, the uses you will learn in class 9. The area in which the surface is enclosed within the boundary of two-dimensional figures is known as area. The mass of an object is the amount of matter contained in it. More the mass of the substance, more heavier it is. There are various instruments available for measuring mass such as beam balance, physical balance, electronic balance. Now, what is time? Time is an essential part of our lives. Time may be defined as the interval between two events. Okay? This is all you have to learn. You have understood, right? The various units used for measuring time are hour, minute, mean, solar day, and year. Okay, right? And the various instrument for measuring time are pendulum clock, watch, stop clock, okay, all this. Temperature measure of a degree of hotness or coldness. SI unit is neither degree Celsius nor degree Fahrenheit, is Kelvin. Kelvin does not have a degree, please note that. A thermometer is used to measure the temperature, okay. Usually markings are done on the thermometer taking into consideration the two fixed reference temperatures. These points are known as the lower fixed point and the upper fixed point. In natural thermometer, you have it for 100 or and 0. Okay, the lower fixed point is the 0 degree Celsius and the upper fixed point is 100. Based on the uses, thermometers are classified into three types: clinical thermometer, laboratory thermometer, maximum and minimum thermometer. Okay, next we have the infographs. See the laboratory thermometer. The range is, the lower fixed point is minus 10 degrees Celsius and the upper fixed point is 10 degrees Celsius. Okay. Now what is a pendulum clock? A pendulum clock works on the principle of swing of pendulum, and swing of pendulum as a timekeeping element. Okay. The time taken by a pendulum to go from one extent to the other is the 1 second, so it completes 1 and 2 and promotion in 2 seconds. It's not a seconds pendulum. In a watch, the hour, minute and the second arms are set in a motion wound up by a spring that controls the speed. These types of watches are also known as analog watch. These watches are now made by electric button in cells instead of wound up spring. Some watches display time directly in numerals and are known as digital watches. You've seen some friends wearing. The time displayed by them is hour and minute or hours, minutes and second format. Okay. Next we have in a watch, the hour, minute and the second arms are set in a motion wound up by a spring which controls their speed. This type of watches are also known as analog watches. These watches are now made by electric button cell instead of wound up spring. Okay, these are by electric button cell. Okay, watches that display time directly in numerals are known as digital watches. Oh, I've already taught you all this. Stop clock or stopwatches are used in laboratories and sport events to measure short intervals of time accurately. Now, what is a clinical thermometer? It's a small piece of the laboratory thermometer, okay, for measuring the temperature of human being. One of the simplest in the instrument is the beam balance that you must have seen in the grocery shop. Okay, beam balance is used to control of a horizontal vertical beam that is at a support and a pointer at its center. The beam can move freely from the ends of the beam to similar pans are suspended such as they are equidistant from the center of the beam. The most accurate and the high sensitive vision of the beam balance is known as physical balance. It is used in the science laboratories, also used by Goldsmith for its uttermost accuracy. So nowadays electronic weighting machines also display they are also being used in laboratories and so due to high degree of accuracy of measuring mass of things. Okay. The measurement of a measuring length. The measuring length can be used to measure various things such as a ruler, meter rod, measuring tape, vernier calipers, and screw gauge. Okay, very small length measurement instrument like vernier caliper and screw gauge can be used. Non-standard units of length like a foot, step, handspan, and a cubit. Non-standard unit of length are methods by which people used earlier times for a cubit, handspan, and a footsteps were used. Okay, suppose your foot is small. Okay, then you will have and one another foot is big. So more people will go to the big foot shop because in that they will get more cloth, right? Thank you so much. Goodbye.